Well, for me in childhood days, a big value was the experience of community, but I didn't have the sentences and the words and the concepts around it. I didn't know that that was what was going on. It's something you absorb through your skin. So with a dad who shot through when I was 3 and the mother as a working single mother, brought up 2 boys. But she was one of 9 children, 3 killed in the wars, still left 6 for other 5 aunts and uncles who some had partner and children, which meant cousins, aunts and uncles, one family in the bush. Lots of stuff going on, a rich childhood. From age 8 I started going to camps in the Christian culture. When I reflect on it, what I recall, what I love in the tape that plays in my head was the experience of togetherness. With a big bunch of people, singing a lot of songs, making a lot of harmonies, piled in a bus together going somewhere, me out the front doing the song leading, the feedback, the rapport with the group, the chance to have a go. Stuff that can't be done on your own or even with a small group. Some things need a group. The group gives us the vehicle to explore the world. So that early stuff was an experience of community that I just assumed was the norm. I assumed was what goes on for everybody until I got amongst the isolated and the disconnected and the bloody alone and realised it wasn't. So I had an interest in ag science or vet science from being all school holidays in the bush with one of my uncles. Ended up doing ag and going school teaching and experiencing stressed community in inverted commas. Lots of stuff came in from outside the school gate into the schoolyard and the schoolyard into the classroom, but not into the syllabus. And you'd be there in front of, in those days, 44 and 43 in 2 first-year classes, with no show getting anywhere near the stuff that you knew could pick up was going on in their lives that had nothing to do with finding the South Celestial Pole or understanding the difference between diffusion and osmosis. And I loved my science, I was keen about it. But they didn't have the same interest, despite my brilliant attempts to motivate and present well and so on. They had other stuff going on, baggage that got in the way, that needed attention and sharpened by one guy who shot himself, and his seat was empty and the boss calls us into his room and the all-male small staff in an agricultural boarding school. Gentleman Harry killed himself last night. I'm in contact with the parents. The matter is hand in hand, good day. Nothing was done with the school students. Who just go back to teaching diffusion and osmosis. So I thought the Education Department in New South Wales is too restrictive. It's not allowing me time and energy over to get close to this stuff. I want to get closer to that, so I thought I'm in the Christian scene, I'll go into the Methodist ministry. Church will be more flexible. And I was right, about 1 millimetre more flexible, with significant expectations of what country parsons will and won't do in a country town. But on the way through doing theological studies, I ran into a guy called Trevor Waring. Now, Trevor was the second detached worker in Australia. It was 1964. So the concept of a go model, to go where they are, instead of trying to get them to come where you are and work from there. I said stop coming in large numbers to scouts and guides and organised sport and church groups. Age 14, the graph went zonk. This was a big cultural shift, that mid-60s. So I kept in touch and listened to his stories and was pretty, to use Geraldine Doog's word, which I hate from the media, I was fascinated, I was absorbed. So I tried myself out, and I'm going through college and you're doing your placement stuff, so I played guitar in a coffee shop at Alan Walker's Central Methodist Mission, and after the action on the Friday nights they'd collect for coffee and there was me at the mic being the backstop for whatever, fill-in music, background music. And the muso gets to connect with people. You're a neutral person, you're a safe person. You can have jokes and fun and talk to the bods where you see the finger tapping and the foot tapping. And So I made a number of contacts there and tried myself out doing street work or detached work around town in Sydney. So there I am singing me songs, and the little Jesus evangelist would go to the tables and talk to people about Jesus and in the Evangelist Institute, but the caretaker shut the place up at 11 o'clock, so they had to get through there getting people into connection with the Lord before 11 o'clock, because that was the end of their conversation. Yeah, well, there we were at the gate, and the caretaker's impatient, waiting to roll the bars across, and the guy's trying to wind up his conversation about getting it kind of clinched, 6 steps to salvation, 4 spiritual laws, only up to 3/4 way through, and the caretaker wants to shut the place, and it's 11 o'clock curfew for the evangelists, and me and this bloke were standing on the other side of the gate. At that time I was so grateful that I was on the other side of the gate, and that made a big mark on me. I don't want to be inside your bloody gates when they're locked. Well, detached work, as we developed the terminology then, meant the person doing it, not the persons you're doing it amongst. Not connected, not tied to premises or to program. So you're not running a place, and you're not running a program such as the basketball competition. You're free to go where you find the action. It's about finding the action and then finding the relationships. So you're detached from those constraints. Prefer that to outreach, which suggests here we've got a thing which is putting its little fingers out, including its value system, to ensnare or to deliver. It doesn't matter, it's all very good. Hospitals understandably talk about outreach work because there's a big show that you've got your fingers going out from. But I like the concept of true detached work, which was an Australian philosophy at the time, that you're amongst young persons where they're choosing themselves to spend their time without selling a message or bringing anything from any particular place. A bloke from my earlier days who was a conservative Christian leader, he knew that WA was looking for a youth consultant for the newly forming Uniting Church, and I'd worked part-time for Scripture Union and been a beach mission leader and all those early associations. He said, George Davies is an interest, So I got sent forms saying, we're told you might be interested. I thought, no, it's too far, but a couple of bods wrote to me and said, yeah, we need a good evangelical person here. So they hadn't heard the last few years' stories. They remembered me from uni days. They thought I was the same. And I'd been transformed by the cultures I'd met, I think. My life changed. I kind of broke out and I couldn't push the toothpaste back in the tube. No way. I was out. And it was on the other side of the barrier. I threw my hat in the ring and I thought, well, maybe it's time to specialise. So I came over as youth consultant.
When was that?
It was 1977. Uniting Church inaugurated in June that year.